I'm going to talk about PAX, the Common Lisp documentation system, focusing on its new feature, which is browsing documentation live within Emacs. I've done some setup work so that we can jump straight to the action. Going to invoke the documentation browser. You can see on the left that it has auto-loaded PAX as it was needed. And just look at the documentation of the function print in the live system. There are two definitions actually that are available. One of them is the hyperspec offline HTML, which is something we are going to ignore now. The other one here is the definition provided by SBCL, and this is gathered by querying the running system. So if we look at the source of this thing, then we can see that the docstring follows a fairly usual style, uppercasing symbols, names of symbols, otherwise having no markup at all. And from this, PAX manages to add some markup and even recognize possible links to stuff such as the read function in this case, which we can go to. And we could also go to standard input and just jump around in the documentation exploring things. So that's good. This is how PAX works with stuff that hasn't been written with PAX in mind. Now let's instead develop a little library in a documentation-centric, buzzwordy way. So let's define a very simple function that just computes x plus 1. And yeah, this is the documentation of the thing that we have just written. Jump to the source and actually make it a whole sentence. Recompile and reload the documentation. It's updated. Nice. Okay, so let's promise something more, that the return value will be of type foo, whatever that type is. Yeah, we are just going to make it an alias of fixnum. We got a compiler note. Great. All right, so now if we look at the documentation of foo, we have a disambiguation page popping up because there is now type and function. And the docstring of the foo function, which refers to the type foo, actually manages to be linked properly to the type foo. And this is the bit of magic where PAX recognizes the presence of the word type and uses that to disambiguate a potentially ambiguous link to foo. Right. So to make this a proper PAX library, we are going to add a section whose job is to hold the otherwise scattered definitions together. Give it some title so that it looks okay, some narrative that explains its purpose in life, and also add references to the things that make up the foo library. Let's compile this and let's look at the documentation of the foo library. This is the title, some housekeeping messages about packages, the docstring that we added, and the actual definitions, documentation of the references that we added to the def section. Okay, so that's how we do it. The idea here is that writing documentation is one way of thinking about the code. Either write the code if that's easier, or write the documentation if that helps formulate how the code should look like. But either way, there should be a very tight loop possible between coding and documenting, and PAX is designed to do that and support this style of working.